You ever just use an app and everything flows perfectly? It feels like a dream. But then you open another one and it's a total nightmare. Well, I'm here to tell you that's not magic, and it is definitely not an accident. There's a whole science behind it, and today we're going to pull back the curtain on the fundamentals of user experience design. All right, let's get right into it.
Come on, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That one clunky app you have to use for work, or maybe a website you tried to buy something from that was just impossible to navigate. That feeling of wanting to just chuck your phone across the room? Yeah, we've all been there.
Here's the thing, that frustration, it's not your fault. It is a failure of design, plain and simple. And the entire field dedicated to stopping that feeling in its tracks is called user experience, or UX for short. It's all about making tech work for us, not the other way around.
So, where do we even begin with all of this? Well, we start at the very foundation. Before any app can be fun or beautiful, it just has to work. This first batch of principles is all about making sure a product can actually be used by the people it's designed for.
First up, the absolute bedrock of good design, usability. It really boils down to three simple questions. 1, can you figure out what you're supposed to do? 2, can you do it without wasting time? And 3, do you feel good or at least not frustrated when you're done? If the answer to any of those is no, well, you've got a usability problem. This slide nails it. Just think about one of those old school TV remotes with like 50 buttons you never ever touched. That's a classic case of terrible usability. Now, compare that to a modern remote that has just a handful of clear, simple options. It's efficient, it's satisfying, it just works. Okay, next up is something that is absolutely non-negotiable in good design: accessibility. This is all about making sure that our products can be used by everyone, regardless of their abilities. It's about building inclusive experiences from the ground up, so nobody gets left behind. And here's a perfect, simple example: color contrast. On the left, that text is almost impossible to read, right? And that's not just for someone with a visual impairment. That's hard for anyone trying to read their phone in the bright sun. But the text on the right, it's clear, it's legible, it's accessible to all. It's a tiny little change that makes a world of difference. So a product works, and everyone can access it. Fantastic. That's the baseline. But how do we get to that next level where it just feels natural? This next set of principles is all about the psychology of design. How we tap into the way our brains already work to create that aha moment of instant understanding.
Let's start with consistency. Our brains are basically just pattern matching machines, right? We love it when things are predictable. When design elements look and act the same way everywhere, we don't have to think so hard. Consistency makes an app feel reliable and trustworthy.
And you know, consistency is deeper than just using the same color palette. It's functional too. Does the save button always do the same thing? It's internal. Is the menu in the same spot on every page? And it's also external. Are you using icons that people already get? Like a little shopping cart for, well, a shopping cart? This leads us right into our next big idea: learnability. The absolute best designs don't need a 30-page user manual. I mean, think about TikTok. Did anyone ever show you a tutorial on how to swipe up to see the next video? Nope, you just knew. That's an incredibly learnable, totally intuitive design. We've all had this exact moment, right? You walk up to a glass door and you just pause. Do I push? Do I pull? That tiny moment of confusion is a failure of learnability. Great design avoids that feeling completely by using patterns we already know. And that brings us to a really crucial concept called mental models. See, every single person who uses your product brings their entire life experience with them. They already have a pre-existing idea in their head of how things should work. A great designer doesn't try to fight that. They align the design with what people already expect. So you don't believe me? Let's do a quick test. Take a look at these icons on the screen. I bet you know what almost every single one of them means without me saying a word. Why? Because they tap directly into a shared mental model that we've all developed over years of using tech. And there we go. A shopping cart means you're buying something. A floppy disk means save, even though most of us haven't seen a real floppy disk in decades. The pencil means edit. The magnifying glass means search. Your brain made those connections instantly. That is some powerful stuff. Okay, now it's time to zoom way in. We've talked about the big picture, but amazing UX is also built on tiny moment-to-moment interactions. These next few principles are all about guiding a user's actions and building their confidence with every single tap and click. Let's break down two terms that sound a little academic but are actually super simple: affordance and signifier. An affordance is just a clue about what an object can do. A button, for example, just looks pressable. That's its affordance. A signifier is the extra hint, like the actual words "click here" written on the button. Good design uses both to make things obvious. A great interface should feel like a good conversation. And that conversation happens through feedback and feed-forward. Feed-forward tells you what's about to happen, like when a button changes color as your mouse hovers over it. And feedback confirms what just happened, like that little message sent pop-up. It's a constant dialogue. Now, I know what you're thinking. Limiting users, that sounds like a bad thing. But actually, constraints are one of the most powerful and helpful tools in a designer's toolkit. They are just guardrails that gently guide you and prevent you from making a mistake. So what does this look like in the real world? You've definitely seen it. That submit button that's grayed out until you've filled in every box, that's a constraint. A phone number field that literally won't let you type letters, also a constraint. These aren't roadblocks. They're guides that make the whole process way smoother. All right, we have covered a ton of ground here, from the big foundational ideas to the tiny little details. But if you walk away with just one single thought from all of this, let it be this one: none of this happens by accident. This quote really gets to the very heart of it. Every single color choice, every button placement, every word on the screen is the result of a deliberate decision. Good design is thoughtful. It anticipates what you need. And more than anything else, it is intentional.
So, what's the big takeaway here? Creating an awesome user experience isn't really about flashy graphics or the latest trends. It's about combining genuine empathy for the user with the clarity and structure that these principles give us. They are the fundamental building blocks for any technology that truly feels great to use.
And now, I've got a little challenge for you. As you go about the rest of your day, using your phone, browsing websites, what's one little design detail you're going to notice that you wouldn't have before? Maybe it's a helpful constraint, or maybe a really confusing button. Because I'll tell you what, once you start seeing the world through the lens of UX, you can never, ever unsee it.
Like, share, and subscribe.